Welcome to the Old-Fashioned Three. They've been around basketball from the Big Dipper to the Greek Freak, from Russell Celtics to Curry's Warriors, from Peach Baskets to Paolo Banchero. Here are Whitey Gleason, the Phantom, and Jerry Reynolds.
Yes, that was that cut, all right.
I don't hear anything, huh?
Hey, thanks for being with us here. It's the Old-Fashioned Three. We're having a little bit of an audio issue, but that's okay. We're professionals here,
We are
right?
professionals.
You can hear me right now, right? You can't hear me through here, but you can hear me.
You're like,
Yeah, and you can
feet
hear
away.
me.
I can hear absolutely.
Yeah, right, right.
I mean, I can hear
Yeah,
it too.
yeah.
So there you go.
So we've got the great Jerry Reynolds
Oh, I
here, of
hear
course.
you now.
Yeah,
There you go, yeah.
Mr. Basketball,
Mr.
Phantom,
Basketball.
also known now as Mr. Water Polo,
Mr.
right?
Water Polo. I mean, when
Oh.
you know, if you're an expert in water polo like we are, when you tune in and watch
water polo on,
Yeah.
on the Stones network.
Yes. Yeah.
As many do. Yes.
You're getting some quality information.
Yes. Jerry texted me last
Yeah.
week. Fan of Mr. Water Polo. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Broadcasting from the stands this one, and whenever there was a violation, I wasn't really sure what the violation was. I would say violation, and some woman who was sitting in front of me would turn around, and go, and just says, "Come on, dude, what's wrong with you?"
Yeah. Who do you think you are, Miss Water Polo?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I, of course, am no one of consequence, Kevin Michael Whitey Gleason. But we get to talk about actual NBA games today.
Boy.
Let's start, since we're based in the capital of California, you're an original Kings season
Yes,
ticket
I am.
holder. You, of course, did just about everything except play for the Kings. You did everything
I
else,
did,
right?
yeah,
Could have
right.
played.
I did.
Could have.
I did.
And you probably should have.
Yeah.
You know, there's a couple guys that were pretty closer to my skill level than you'd want to
Player
believe.
coach Jerry Reynolds
Yeah.
would have been a good look
Yeah.
for you. Yeah.
So-
yeah.
Been kind of like Kuzi at the end when he stuck himself
Player
in there.
coach of the, well, it was the Kings, right?
It was
Cincinnati
Kansas
Royals.
City Kings.
Yeah, yeah,
and,
okay, yeah.
and Cincinnati Royals for
Yeah,
sure. I know.
yeah. So let's start there. Mr. Basketball, a lot of Kings fans crestfallen
Well,
after that defeat last night.
I don't
to
know
the,
if
Portland
I don't know
Trailblazers.
if I just been bowled over by the hype or whatever, but I never considered the Kings would lose that game last night. I just, I heard all the new names and everybody's all excited, and they go out, and Portland supposedly was going to be one of those teams that were going to go south pretty soon. As soon as Dame got injured, they were going to go south. They put a pretty good team out on the floor last night, and the Kings with the loss couldn't hold the lead late. And I heard that thing that we've heard for a decade and a half. They just got to learn how to close it. They just got to learn how to close those games out.
Got to learn how to win again.
Got to learn how to win again. And I said, well, first of all, again? Yeah. So 20 years ago. So that's a little disappointing as a longtime Kings follower to hear that. We got to just learn how to close it out, because you should have learned that before. And the other thing is, when you're a Kings fan, you always say, well, yeah, but we'll win one later. We should have won this one, but we'll beat the Bucks on the road later, and it'll all even out. And I'm like, well, if you beat the Bucks on the road later, and you would have taken care of business like you were supposed to, that's how you make the playoffs.
Well,
so that's kind of
Mr.
my
Mr.
take
Water
on that.
Polo has a lot to say today, doesn't
Well,
he?
I was sitting by the pool and I wasn't really doing anything.
Some of it, and a lot of it made sense, but I would say this.
That's pretty good.
The idea that it'll make it up later, does that mean that 16 straight years at some point that they'll win a lot of games?
Well,
is that
yeah,
what you're saying?
Well, maybe they're going to be a 32-year span, and we'll make up
They
for it
got
in the back
16
half.
years worth of those games are going to
Yes,
make up?
because that's all you've heard. Well, that's okay, because they dropped games that they should win at home.
You didn't hear it from me.
No, I
haven't
did
heard
not.
that,
No,
actually.
but I call you. You don't never
I have
pick
not,
up.
Yeah, no.
I haven't heard that at all.
I thought,
Oh, my
yeah,
God.
I was
Well,
saying
maybe I
that.
was just saying it.
I don't know
Okay.
who he's hanging with.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
that's my main point. I got nothing else. Yeah.
Well, I'm like you though. I really just said there's no way that they're not going to beat Portland.
Yes.
I mean, it's like I watching in the preseason, and I say, well, they're going to get a win here and get off to a good start. Portland, it looks like they got a long way to go to be in any better than last year.
Yeah.
Even with Dame back, and truthfully, Dame wasn't very good last night.
No.
Actually, Anthony Simons and
Grant was great. Yeah.
and Grant was terrific.
Come on.
Nurkic wasn't any good, and so I mean,
Well, that's even more depressing. Then.
It is.
If all of their good players were bad, what the heck happened?
Well, we had several played really bad too.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fair.
I thought Sabonis really wasn't very effective. Harrison Barnes wasn't very effective. Davion Mitchell was just terrible,
Was he
really.
1 for 8 or something? He didn't shoot the ball well.
Yeah, just didn't play well. I mean, fortunately, I thought Fox was terrific, except 8 turnovers.
Yeah.
When you're going to talk about the stats, and I was he's got 33, 7, and 7. Well, he's also got 8.
He's a
Yeah.
lot.
Don't fail to mention that.
Yeah.
And that's he was terrific offensively, except for his turnovers.
Shot the ball really well.
Really well, and I thought defensively he did fine. I mean, I thought the effort was good. Having said that, it's like, well, they still gave up 115 points. So, it's – and then one last point, and I don't think they're using Sabonis correctly at all.
Really?
No, they're kind of using him like a low-post center. and he's an undersized low post center. I mean, he's a high post,
Right.
run your offense through guy. If you're not going to use him like that, he's not going to be real effective.
More
all
like
year.
Draymond. I mean, as offensive.
Well, no, just like he was last
Yeah,
year.
yeah, because Draymond brings the
yeah,
ball
more
up
like
and-
Vlade Divac
Yeah,
or
yeah,
Chris
yeah.
Webber up
Mhm.
at the elbow,
Mhm.
run stuff through splits. Get him away from the basket where he can
Yeah, give
face
him
up
some space.
on bigger, slower guys because he is pretty mobile. But, I mean, if you're going to use him kind of as a low post guy back to the basket, then don't be surprised if he averages 11, 12 points a game.
Couple of things that really stood out to me. You guys tell me what you
Well,
think.
go ahead.
They're up 1 late in the game, and then back-to-back possessions. You had Sabonis with that play where he got trapped, and then he jumped up in the air to make a jump pass and came down.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. And then the next possession, Fox, offensive foul. You're up 1 at crunch time, and 2 possessions in a row, you got your best players with their hands on the ball. You don't even get a shot up. That's, to me, I know we can overreact to things, Jerry, and I
Absolutely.
always do. But to me, in that game, that's really bad. Those are 2 bad possessions in a row.
It really was, and the Fox charge. I mean, there's never been a more clear charge in the history of charges. He was really going. Yeah, well, he just plowed over him.
That's a charge.
Yeah, you
basically
can't-
what it is. Yes.
Yeah, you
Yes.
say, well, it's like Harrison Barnes. No, it really wasn't like Harrison Barnes' play.
Harrison
because,
Barnes was like this.
Yes,
That's
he,
an offense. I mean,
they
that's a
showed him
block.
moving his
Yeah.
foot to get in position
Yeah.
to take it before and couldn't
Yeah.
get set. So
Mhm.
the refs were right, absolutely 100% correct on both those calls. And it's if it wasn't for Kevin Herter bailing them out with some
my goodness.
spectacular shots, and
Yeah.
boy, I mean that looks like a even better pickup than I thought it was going to be. But the guy's a player. Of course,
Yeah.
you knew he's a
Yeah.
player coming here, and then Monk didn't really show a lot. I thought Terrence Davis was really good, and
Taunting, Jer. Boy, he was taunting.
You don't see a
Well, he
number
may
of
have
guys
been,
like that.
and I don't. To me, if you're going to have the rule, you got to use it. If somebody's doing it, but my mind is, I don't think that's much of a rule to have.
My wife
Unless
said he
it's-
barely looked. It took like a split
It was
second.
a glance.
whatever. Yeah,
It was
yeah.
a taunting glance
Yeah.
he gave him. Yes.
Well, you don't. I mean, in other words, they never had the full look at it because he looked. I mean, I don't know what he.
Yeah.
Then the ref was right there.
Yeah, yeah.
Ref was right there. So, but I mean, it's a rule, and if
it's on the players to
as
be
a
aware of
Kings,
it.
as a Kings fan, you'd want it called if that had been Anthony Simons doing it to somebody standing over
Yeah.
him and all that. But I don't like the rule. I guess that's what I'm saying. It's like
Because you used to do that all.
Yeah.
You
Oh.
invented that.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, it's got to
absolutely.
get to Sean Kemp level. If it
Yeah.
doesn't get to that level of standing over, I
Yeah.
think it was Lister. If it doesn't get to that level, really not taunting.
yeah. I mean, to me, it needs to get to a level where the next step is maybe a little.
It's a fight.
It's probably a potential fight,
okay.
or getting together and shove fest is
Yeah,
what they really
okay.
are.
Can you imagine him with Jim Bob Bowling? Looking over
man.
Jim Bob,
Well, like he
or
didn't
his
do that?
brother,
Like he
maybe
did-
his own brother.
Oh,
Well,
man. Well,
Jim Bob and my brother, I just took their hearts early.
yeah. They had no life left in them after the first quarter.
They were
Yeah.
soulless, walking around like zombies.
You can't taunt a zombie. That
You
wouldn't
can't-
even
no.
be fair. No.
I thought 2 things that jumped out to me. I thought the Kings, defensively, they're not there. They put a lot of pressure on the basketball, which is good, but their transition defense at times, especially in the first half, was like, ooh, this is really bad, which was made worse by the fact that they kept turning the ball over. And the other thing, do we maybe need – I know, like you said, Fox had the big numbers. I'd like to see him play off the ball more at times during crunch time because I think he's harder to guard that way.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, he is a scorer. He is not a playmaker. I mean, he's a scorer. I mean, he's just a kind of a different type of Bradley Beal. I mean, really, he's out. He probably at this stage might even be a more effective scorer.
Yeah, yeah.
But get him off the ball, and
That doesn't mean he's not going to get it.
no,
Yeah.
and he can still make plays.
Yeah.
But his plays are going to be as he's going to score, drawing attention, blah blah, not having to set stuff up and blah blah blah. I don't think that's his strength. That's all I'm saying, and I think that's been, to me, it's been established over and over and over and over again. That's always people like saying, "Well, yeah, but he's a point." No, he's not. He's a point guard like Mike Bibby was. Not Mike Bibby was a scorer.
Yeah.
who could make plays.
As
You
good
know.
as he is, I feel like at times, crunch time, they're almost a little easier to guard because if I'm defending them, I know it's him. Whereas
Yeah.
if he's off the ball, then all
He's
of a
coming from
sudden,
somewhere else.
yeah,
Yeah.
I got a lot more I got to be concerned with.
Yeah, that's why I mean, it always seemed I never could understand why it didn't work with he and Halliburton, but it didn't because Halliburton was more natural with the ball.
Yep.
And I think that Fox is really an off the ball scorer, and I to me that, you know, for whatever purposes it didn't work because I don't know if either one of them wanted it to work.
Yeah,
And so
that's a problem.
But
It's a
when
problem.
you say that, as soon as you said that, I went back to that as far as, well, he had Halliburton next to him, and it would seem like that's, if you're going to draw that scenario up, that's the guys that you want in those positions. And the fact that it didn't work, one of them couldn't adapt, one of them couldn't play that role. I don't know, but that makes me think that he can't really do that, and that's not good.
I don't think he realizes that like you're saying. I don't think De'Aaron Fox realizes you're probably better off I think in his mind,
He
it's
just
like,
wants
no,
to have the
I'm
ball.
better
Yeah.
if I am that ball dominant.
Well, I have heard him say, you know, he considers himself more of a scorer. Well, okay. So,
Yeah.
you know, say, as a coach, you can say, oh, I agree with you. Let's figure out a way to where you're going to get more options or same scoring opportunities, easier scoring opportunities.
Yeah.
And, you know, yeah, I think. And plus, here's the other part of it is he's under contract. Like players, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but they're not supposed to get a pick.
I mean, they don't get to choose how they're used. They have to go ahead and do what the coach says.
In
What?
In
What is this,
theory, I'm saying
1992? Come on.
this is just a theory.
Woo,
But the
jeez,
coach
yeah,
says, Whitey,
yeah.
you want to be point guard? No, you're going to be the off guard. You say, I don't want to. Okay, then you don't get to play.
So the coach has the final word.
In theory.
Wow, that's
You'll be hearing
not
from
the-
my agent, sir.
and my lawyer and my wife and my grandmother. They're all going to call
But
you.
the where you have some ability to make this work is you might want to look at your contract, and you are getting paid sums of money to play. It doesn't say what position, and if you don't want to play, we understand, but you will not receive that amounts of money on a
The
regular
large,
basis.
large, some might say exorbitant sums of money that you're
you
getting.
know the old
Yes.
you know, if you're not happy, get happy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look at I'm not saying he's anywhere near as good as Steph, but you know, when you have Steph off the ball, I mean, and they run him through all these screens.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Isn't he?
I think so. I'm not Mr. Water Polo.
Well,
No, you're not.
Well,
Ideally-
Devin Booker. I mean,
Yeah.
he really Fox is as tall as Devin Booker. I mean, it might be a half-inch difference, and he's probably longer. You know.
Yeah,
But
I
one
think
of
the
the-
sell would be, look, it's going to be easier for you to score.
Right. Yeah, it's gonna be less effort. But when you think about De'Aaron Fox, what does everybody say? Well, he's the fastest guy with the ball in the league. Well, to be the fastest guy with the ball, you have to have the ball, and I think that's his mentality.
Well,
he's always done that at Kentucky,
yeah.
and probably before that. That's been his kind of calling card, his speed with the ball, like a John Wall. And I think that takes a little bit of adjustment to go, no, this guy's going to have the ball. We're going to get it to you in better situations all the time, and it'll be easier. And until that happens, I don't think it's hard to accept that.
But that's going to be in the half court. In other words,
Okay.
you know, you can, you know, hit in the open transition. Hey, get it.
Go for it.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Sure. That's no difference. And so yeah, you don't want to take that away from him because he is one of the fastest guys in the league, and he's excellent in the open court. So yeah, if you really want to run and play at a fast pace, which we hear, you don't get to be choosy. It's not like Utah where they wouldn't run unless they could get it to Stockton. Well,
Right.
and that made sense then.
Yeah, but
It's-
I think we said this last week, if you're going to push tempo and you still can't guard people, and I know they're working on that, but that's just a recipe for getting your head caved in. We're going to maximize possessions. We want more possessions, even though we can't stop you. So that was, to me, that was discouraging last night. I know Mike Brown said after the game, he said, I didn't recognize this at times, but that was a really poor defensive effort last night. And that if that doesn't improve, they may be better, but they're not going to be very good.
Well, too, and thing is, to me, always the big thing is the crunch time stuff. And we talked about that is, yeah, I see a lot of positives there, but the when it comes down to the last 3 or 4 minutes, you got to play smarter, you got to play tougher, you know, and really Portland got a little more physical, made it tougher
They
to
were getting
score.
right to the rack, were they not?
Yes, and the Kings' defense broke down. Conversely, Portland's defense really didn't break down, and that, you know, I hate to be, I told you so, but that's the way it's been for as long as I've been following basketball, I always say that the game changes in the last 4 or 5 minutes, and the officials change a little bit. They let a little more go. So you get to be a little more physical on defense if you so choose. Now, if you so choose not to be very physical, which
Yeah.
whoa, then we see the results of that.
Yeah.
Well, it's a little odd to hear the coach after the first game say, I didn't recognize those guys out there. That's kind of a red flag.
But
for
I
me.
knew what he meant.
Yeah, well, sort
I know
of,
what
but
he
I mean,
meant.
that's but I mean, you've just had all this time and everything in the preseason. It was great. We were all doing what we wanted to do. Everything was fine. And then the first time it really counts, you got there. I don't know who those guys are.
But he said that they played one-on-one a lot more than they had been, which I think gets back to what we were saying.
Yeah.
And the defensive breakdowns at times. Yeah, that you don't know what's going to translate from the preseason, and so I appreciated what he said. So
Yeah,
I think we
I'm
got.
alarmed by it personally.
You got to give him 20 games. I really believe that, and you're hoping that this is an outlier, that you'll look back and say, but certainly some things you didn't like, and Keegan Murray didn't get a play,
Right.
and that's the way it is. Their rookie actually did played pretty well.
Yeah. Is he like 14 years old or something?
11. He's just turned 11.
Supposed to be a sixth grader, but he went pro.
He played 2 games in 6th grade, and then he hadn't played since.
They held him out. Yeah, okay. We don't want to get him hurt before 7th grade.
12 points. He's pretty good.
He's pretty
not bad
good.
at
Yeah,
all.
I think you see the potential there,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
certainly we know Keegan Murray with is going to really help, and they certainly would have helped. But I still say unless they get Sabonis in his sweet spot, I think that offensively, I think
He
it's
fouls a lot, Jer, doesn't he?
well, he's never been a really good defender, and so if you're going to if you're going to let guys get by you at the guard line,
they were just attacking.
Yeah.
him.
yeah, I mean, so I mean, Mutombo would get some fouls, if your guys are running at him
Right.
full
right.
speed.
Right this way,
25
sir.
times a half.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. But I mean,
Would you like a seat next to the
I
basket?
mean,
Right
I
this
think
way.
that's
Yeah.
to me Sabonis, as an individual rim protector, defender. Yeah, he's probably a little undersized, but and like I say, where he's terrific offensively is a focal point. Let him get cutters moving. He'll find them. Excellent passer, unselfish. But if you're going to put him in there back to the basket, then
Yeah.
going to be some smushes. He's going to get smushed a little bit. He's
Gonna be
gonna
Brad
get
Miller
smushed.
time.
Going to be so. Yeah, exactly right.
The only thing I think that made Jerry feel better about the first couple nights of the regular season, correct me if I'm wrong, the fact that the Lakers played
that's too bad.
against the Warriors on Tuesday. It's only one game, of course. They didn't look very good, Jerry. Now you got LeBron saying after the game, people saying, you guys didn't shoot very well. Well, we don't have a lot of great shooters.
Well, whose fault is that, Mr. General Manager player? Yeah, come on. Yeah, I thought that was a great pass the buck. I know he's a great passer, but he got the buck out of his hands pretty fast right there. Yeah, we don't have any good shooters on the team.
We have a lot of lasers.
Yeah.
I thought it's like
We don't have a lot of lasers.
I thought, and I talked to Whitey on the way over, and I said, of course, it brings me great joy, as you know.
Yeah.
To go with Whitey on the way over.
It kind of makes up for some of the disappointment of just a little bit.
Sure.
Is that and I was thinking, and LeBron, you're not really a laser either.
No, he's not really a
And
laser.
you were firing up some long range clunkers for yourself here. So so it's not just your teammates, and like I say, everybody wants to blame Russell Westbrook for everything. Actually, he played pretty close.
He was
to,
okay, yeah.
He was definitely okay to pretty good, and
the thing that gets me about LeBron, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah,
if you-
no,
okay. Yeah. The thing that gets me about LeBron when he says stuff like that, and he doesn't need to do this, but to me, you made the point about pass the buck. It's almost like he feels the need to tell us, it ain't my fault. Well, you're freaking LeBron.
Yeah,
but he still has to, on this team. And it's almost like the subtext is, what am I supposed to do about it?
Well, he's
And
watching.
that's ridiculous.
He's watching Aaron Rodgers' press conferences. He goes, well, I'll tell you, he drafted Jordan Love a couple years ago. We haven't had a good team since. It's not me. It's these guys all the time. And LeBron does that. And like you say, he said, we don't have any real shooters. Well, you took 43 pointers, so somebody thinks they can shoot.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's the problem. If you don't have real shooters, then take 25. Don't take 40 because that's 30 misses you put on the board right there. So, yeah, LeBron wants to know. He's at that stage of his career as an elder statesman.
Yeah.
Hey, this doesn't touch me up here. Whoever put our team together, man. And they just gave him an extension. So there you go.
Yeah.
Well, and he is. I mean, to me, he's getting a little bit too much into the stats. He's a ball stopper himself, where he never used to be.
Well, he's chasing
He
the
wants
stat of
three,
all
yeah.
stats.
And I think he can't get shots. And of course, that's like everybody. I mean, there's a point where you can't get as good a shots as you slow a little bit, which he has. As to me, he kind of plays bully ball more than anything to get his baskets. Just plows through guys.
He destroyed poor. Was it Jermichael Green? He just said good night and just
See you later.
Yeah, and gets by with it. You know.
Yeah.
That's like the game watching Joel Embiid against Noel Vonleh or somebody. I don't know who it was. And he had a power move on the box. He's driving left and goes up for the basket. And the guy's there, just standing there.
Good position.
And he whams him right in the head and lays it in. And, it's like and they call a foul on the guy that got his brain scrambled.
Foul on
Wait a minute
yeah,
here.
There you go.
Look at and the announcers, didn't even
Well, yeah, that's
a great Embiid
call.
move. No, it's a foul. It's an offensive foul.
The elbow to the chin is a great Embiid move.
By the very definition of an offensive foul, the defender has a right to be in the exact place he was.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Noah Vonleh because I had to look. I was like, who is that? I didn't realize he was on the Celtics. But, yeah, Noah Vonleh. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen with the Lakers. Maybe they find something. Maybe they compete for playoff spot. But right now, to me, the Lakers aren't just bad. They're bad for the NBA because, they're one of the –
They're the Lakers,
yeah, such a great franchise. And this whole thing about how are the Lakers going to figure it out? They missed the playoffs last year. If we got to go through that again, that gets old. And they're on TV all the time. And I don't want to go through another season of, it's the Lakers on TV again. They're terrible.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're going to get them on national TV. The 82 game, at least 30.
Yeah.
Boy.
Well, and
Yeah.
it'll be, boy, when they get it together, or when such and such a guy gets healthy. Some guys you never heard of.
When Faduzzel gets healthy.
When
Faduzzel, that hamstring has been a problem, but he'll be out there.
When little Joey Faduzzel enters that lineup, or Dennis Schroeder when he comes back, they'll be good then. Now, how good were they when Schroeder played with them before?
Right. Yeah.
But anyway.
Do you know Nick Friedel, who writes for ESPN? He's a really good guy. He covers the Nets currently. Used to cover the Warriors, and he was telling us one time on the 95.7 The Game. He was at a meeting, an ESPN meeting, and ESPN's talking to all the NBA reporters, and they had some study or something. They said, all right, look, you guys, this is what people care about in terms of the players. First of all, and this is to all the NBA people at ESPN. Number one, LeBron.
Right.
People care about LeBron. Anything you can write or say about LeBron, people care about. After LeBron, you've got a little drop-off. Then you've got Steph
Curry.
Steph Curry, number two. After that, you've got a drop-off, and you've got everybody else. So the point is,
So it's a two-man
LeBron
league, really.
is just no matter what we think or what we say, he's going to get crammed down our throat.
And I think cramming is what it is.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
I don't believe for a minute that most average fan, wouldn't prefer watching the Warriors and Steph Curry.
Mm-hmm.
I really mean that. I think that's they've played that game to themselves.
Yes.
Yes. I don't think it's any way truth and accurate because
it's just so much more entertaining.
And there's as many people that don't like LeBron for many reasons too. I mean, how can you not like Steph Curry? So I anyway.
Yeah.
Marketing people, you're damn sure wrong. You don't know what you're doing.
But that's an easy promo. Watch LeBron, Anthony Davis, and the Lakers. I mean, that writes it. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
I don't
Here we go.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
love watching LeBron. I consider myself lucky to be able to have seen him his whole career, and we're all lucky that I mean, his first game. I didn't go to the first game because I had to get up early the next day.
Yeah,
but it was right here. Yeah. But that said, it's like enough is enough with LeBron.
Yeah, it doesn't change his all-time great status.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's different now. Come on. He's not, I mean, in my mind there's a lot of guys I'd rather watch. I'd rather watch Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
Anytime. Jokic, Antetokounmpo.
But LeBron's the Kardashian of the NBA.
Yeah, I know.
Wants to watch him.
Everything
He's
but the big butt.
Yeah. When he's getting that too as he gets older.
The best thing about
he's using
LeBron
it.
to me is that we all remember what the hype was, where it was when he came into the league, and to his everlasting credit, he did by far.
Yeah.
By far.
And helped the league on the way,
Yeah.
lifted the league up, and now they're kind of paying him back or something like
guess,
that on
yeah.
the other end. Yeah.
Well,
There you
if he wasn't with the Lakers, if LeBron right now with his skill level, not that he's still really
Still very
among the
good.
elite,
Yeah.
but not elite. If he was playing for the Minnesota Timberwolves instead, we wouldn't have 40 friggin' Laker games on national
Maybe.
TV.
I mean, when he was on the Cavs, we got the Cavs all the time.
But they
I
were
know
really good,
They
though.
were.
Yeah, but at this stage of his career, he was going to go to the Lakers or somebody like that.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to Minnesota. He was going to L.A.
Well, yeah, no, of
because he's
course.
got all of his other businesses and everything.
Yeah. Speaking of exceeding the hype, some of the youngsters that have played so far, the rookies like Banchero played really well. Some of the young players have so far comported themselves pretty well.
Jabari Smith was
Yeah.
pretty good. Obviously, Ivy was pretty good.
Yeah.
To good. I think that
You mentioned Sharp.
Sharp
Sharp
was
was great.
good.
Yeah.
So, I think it looks like it's going to be a pretty good early indicators. Very early.
It
It's
is.
going to be a pretty good rookie group. I
Yeah.
think.
Did you get to see the Warriors game?
No, I did
Yeah.
not. Water
War-
polo takes up much of my time.
Of course. That's why I asked.
Yeah, of course.
That's why I
know.
asked. Just one game again, but the Warriors look really deep again, Jared.
Well, they sure did.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, really, Wiseman, that guy, I think he's really going to be good.
He seems like he's found something. To me, he's a different guy. He's just playing now rather than trying to figure out. It's like a golfer, when you got the swing thoughts in your head, I can't do it. And now he's just letting it fly.
Well, and I think, too, the time off, I mean, the guy just hadn't played in college. He didn't play, as a rookie,
He got
really.
hurt. Yeah.
And so I think the time away from the game, rehabbing and maybe seeing how it is to be part of a team as opposed to all this is expected of him. Now, there's not that much expected. Just go be a good player.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think there's more to come. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
He's more than a potential good player. But the Warriors got a lot of options there. I mean, I like Moody a lot. I know in some ways I like him better than Kuminga.
Oh, he's rock solid.
Yeah,
Moody's
he's
just-
one of those
Ooh,
guys,
consistency.
kind of a young Harrison Barnes. You plug him in there, and if you give him big minutes, he's probably going to be pretty darn productive. But they can't afford to do that, of course.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
They talk about quarterbacks in the NFL, young guys coming up, and they talk about
Who does? Who talks about that?
They do.
Oh, they do, okay.
Just get off my back. It's them.
Is it him?
No, it's the same guys that say, "Oh, we'll make it up later. We lost that game. We'll make it
yeah.
up later." Talk about slowing the game down. It takes them a year or two to slow the game down. Does that happen as well in basketball? It's like talking about a Wiseman. He plays for a year. You're saying you kind of figure out what to do while he's playing. Is there a point at some point where they kind of get in that situation where they go, okay, now I'm understanding what I'm a part of here as far as slowing the game down? Is that a basketball thing as well?
I think it is. I think really what it means is that over time guys adjust to the quickness of the game and the defenders and their athleticism. I mean, so in a sense they're saying, well, it slows it down. It's really not. It's just understanding you're quicker than that guy that used to guard me.
Yeah.
Not him in particular.
No,
Yeah, not a great
but
defender.
I mean,
no.
going from the college game
Yeah.
to the pro game is just like, this is different.
Yeah. Look at it to that point. I always think of a guy like Mark Madsen, who in the Pac-10 then he's a really good player, right? You get to the NBA and it's like scrub.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Total
it just
scrub. Yeah,
tells you,
absolutely. Yeah.
how good everybody is. At that
Yeah,
level.
I mean, well, I was going to say, you see, that's why you see, go back through the years in the lottery, and there'll be 5 or 6 busts, and I mean, they were all outstanding college players if they were in college. With everyone assumed they would succeed. I just noticed Marquise Chris is out of the league, a former lottery pick. That everybody assumed.
Some Kings
Yeah.
fans are still mad they didn't take him,
Yeah, exactly. And
or they took him and
Because you're
traded
a
him.
local
took him,
guy,
traded
yeah.
him,
Yeah.
which I think Bogey was the only one of the package that really turned
You did
out.
get Papagiannis, but
Yeah, well.
yeah, you did.
That era was, that was a great era.
You,
you did
You
get
got
him.
it.
Yeah. To me, Wiseman, if you're going to compare him to a quarterback, you almost have to compare him to Trey Lance because both of them in the pandemic had something to do with it. He barely played in college.
Yeah.
He barely
Got
played
no reps,
in college. So
Yeah.
then to go from what did Wiseman have, 3 games? Whatever it is?
2,
and
I
then
think. Just two,
and then,
two,
okay,
maybe.
you're in the
Right,
NBA.
Yeah, 3, yeah.
So I know I would have been critical of him, but you could understand why it would take him a while to figure out what is going on.
Well, yeah,
here.
that's-
These guys are good.
And as he said, they're fast. Everything that's happening is happening 3 times faster than I've ever seen it happen before.
Yeah.
And I'm really not back to where I should be anyway.
Plus, they put him back there that first year. I think the Warriors realized they didn't handle him very well. They gave him too much. He's back there, running their defense as a rookie. And he said, he was like a quarterback calling plays when he didn't know the plays.
Didn't know the play.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you think the last time he really played extensive minutes was against the AAU competition.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and so that's a whole different world. You know?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
So long story short, if he stays healthy, I think the Warriors are going to be very, very pleased. You know, they're going to have a lot of options going forward because of their depth. That's for sure.
Two things. I know we've talked a lot about Ben Simmons.
Yes,
and
we have.
You need to see Ben Simmons play.
I still do.
He
Yeah.
fouled out of his first game.
Yeah, he had 4.6 fouls. Yeah.
Yeah, to me, the story there, and I know we talked about this, the story there is how good New Orleans looked. in
Yes.
beating-
I agree.
Yes, New
Yeah.
Orleans. I mean, I think they're for real. I mean, you know, we're talking about the drive over. You know, the Lakers. You know, here again brings me some joy. You know that
I think it brings you more than some joy.
quite.
A
Yeah,
lot
it
of
does.
joy.
I mean, just
There's a
warm,
lot of joy coming out of you, emanating from you
yes,
right now.
yes. You know, I mean, how would Brandon Ingram and Kuzma?
Yeah.
You know, of course, Lonzo Ball was part of that too. I think Jason
Yeah.
Hart was all.
Yeah,
I
wasn't
mean,
well? Kuzma was the Westbrook thing, wasn't he? Yeah.
yeah, he was.
Yeah, I mean he was there,
Yeah,
but
that's
yeah,
right.
they could
But
certainly.
the
use
Ingram
him.
and Jason Hart and Lonzo Ball, I think, were the guys
Mm-hmm.
they traded to get the rights to Anthony Davis. And like I said, I mean, really, Brandon Ingram is not very far away from Kevin Durant
he's
right now.
real good.
Whoa.
I mean,
Maybe we disagree
that-
a little bit there. But I think
Well,
a little farther than you're telling me.
Well, I want you to watch him. a
I
little
will
more.
watch him.
I mean, he was better last night.
Yeah, he was real
You're
good.
saying
last
where
night.
Durant is now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
You're saying
yeah,
right
okay.
now.
All right, okay.
No,
I'll
I'm
give you
not
that.
saying,
I'll
I'm
give
not
you
saying
that.
he's going to
All right.
rise, but I'm just saying the gap. There's a gap
There's a gap, but it's not as appreciable as it may
that
be.
most
Yes.
people would think. I mean, everybody's just,
Yeah.
oh my God, Durant, you know, all-time great Brandon Ingram. Well, today,
Yeah.
if you want to trot somebody out there, yeah, you take Durant. But if you said, well, you got to take Ingram, okay.
Okay, I'll take Ingram, and I give
Yeah.
you CJ, and I'll
Yeah,
take
yeah.
Zion.
And the
and
fact
the
they were able
other
to
guys.
plug Zion
Yeah,
into all
yeah.
that and all the success
Yeah.
they had last year, and so far so good.
Well, I know this. If you could have a choice between Brandon Ingram now and Anthony Davis now,
On the ride over,
Yeah.
Jerry, in a way, not to put words in his
Bring it
mouth,
close here.
he compared Anthony Davis now
Yes.
to
Uh-oh.
Purvis Ellis.
not exactly as a talent, but how his joy of playing seems to be. I just, you know, if you just watch him play, it just seemed like, well, you'll be out here in a couple hours.
Did the
You know,
Lakers do that to him? Or did injuries do
He won
that
his
to him?
ring,
Yeah.
right? And he's got real. I
but
think
you-
he's been hurt worse than we thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I agree with all that, and for all the reasons, we don't know what all the reasons are, but it does not seem like a guy that can't wait to get to the building and play basketball.
He's not first there, last to leave. Is
Yeah,
what you're saying?
that's
It might
what
be
I'm
switched
saying.
around the other way.
or just the
Yeah.
joy of competition. You
Well,
know.
most of the time you say a team makes a big move and they get a championship in any sport. It's like, oh, that was worth it then. In the Lakers case, I don't know if that's true, even though they got the quote-unquote title that year.
Yeah, they can't. I mean, in a lot of ways, they can't complain but they are going to complain because it's the Lakers, and I mean the 17 banners or whatever they got. I get all that, and look where they are, and how do you get going forward? I mean, it's not like Davis and LeBron's going to be better next year, or Westbrook, or whatever else, Pat Beverly.
Austin
I mean,
Reeves, yeah.
Austin
Well, you don't
Reeves and-
reinvigorate that love. I don't think. Maybe you can, but you don't get if you're not wanting to go to work every day. You can't all of a sudden. Oh, we're going to do this, and you're going to love it again. Okay, great. It just doesn't seem like it's that simple.
No, you know, I'm not saying he can't get it back because he's young enough to do that. But I'm convinced it won't be with the Lakers. It might be with the Chicago Bulls.
Okay.
You know, hometown. You know, where something to reinvigorate,
Something else to
add
add
something
to the mix. Yeah.
that brings it back where he's viewed differently, or and I don't think LeBron's the easiest guy to play with. You know, as great as he is, I mean, Michael Jordan wasn't the easiest guy to play with.
You know what I always think of when that comes up? Kenny Smith was on that. What's the show? It's on NBA TV where they have a bunch of people, like round tables.
Round
kind of
table,
yeah.
Center court, open court, something
yeah,
like that.
Yeah. Sorry, I think you're right. He
Might
was
be.
sitting with a bunch of people. Kevin McHale was there. Ernie Johnson's running the thing. This is a couple of years ago. And they're talking about playing with great players. And Kenny Smith, who I know you know well and coach, he says, let me tell you something about Akeem.
Yeah.
Akeem, an all-time great player, he never referred to us as his guys. Now, they weren't talking about LeBron, but to me,
I
they
see
were
what
talking
you're
about
saying, yeah.
LeBron. Because
Yeah.
LeBron would say that all the time. My guys, and Kyrie was that kid. And I just thought that was interesting that Kenny Smith, these guys were all great players, as you said. And for him to point out that as great as Akeem was, we were all on the same team. We were never his guys. Yeah, so I think, it is got to be hard to play with LeBron, who always seems to have that need to point out that, we won, but, why we won. Right?
We lost.
Even
but
though he's right,
but,
why does he need to point that out?
I don't know how our team got constructed this way. We don't seem to have any lasers out there. I don't know what happened. But we took our 43s anyway. So there you go.
Yeah,
That's a great point, though. I never thought about that. But, I think, you never heard Jordan say something like that.
Right.
Or Magic or Bird. You really didn't. It was
that's leadership, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that I wanted to follow up on, based on something that happened on the show, we talked last week, wasn't it? Last time we were together, about Draymond and Jordan Poole and the punch. And I know now, it's like, okay, we understand what happened. But Reggie Miller, talking about that Tuesday, the great Reggie Miller said, hey, what happened? He said that happens all the time. And I was thinking about you said,
no,
not like that. It doesn't. I understand. I don't know if Reggie
maybe they punched Reggie Miller that many times. I can see that definitely.
Yeah, that's the whole thing about
there.
that, and that's why that's still an issue. And it looks like they've done a good job getting beyond it. But what happened there is not, as you pointed out expertly, your typical practice fight.
No, that's what I say. I really think the media has failed in that. And they'll talk. Oh yeah, there's fights all the time. Well, there's a lot of fights. There's actually when two people are fighting and both people know they're fighting.
Yes, both are involved.
But when one person doesn't know you're fighting, that's what happened.
Yeah,
that's by definition assault.
That's by definition assault. And I think the league and the Warriors and it seemed like all the NBA TV and ESPN and all their paid
mouthpieces,
and they kind of cover the obvious. And it'd been easy to cover that way had you not seen the tape.
Yeah,
and I'd always say to Reggie or anybody else that, a fight. Now let's look at the tape and you point out just where the fight occurred,
and tell me how that happens. All the time. In NBA games.
And so, ever practice or show somebody got knocked goofy, didn't know it was going to happen?
Maybe in the ABA, maybe they did.
So, you'd be wearing helmets out there,
What did you guys think of the way the Warriors have handled it? Draymond, it's getting a little tiresome the way it's almost like he's trying to point out that, that happened, but the way that leaked, I'm kind of a victim. He hasn't said that, but to me he's kind of implying that. But Steve Kerr said, hey, maybe this warrants some criticism. I understand the criticism, but this is the way we're handling it. What do you think of the way that to this point they've handled
they
it?
gave Poole his money. Yeah. That's the story now. If you say Jordan Poole, he got his money. They've done a great job of shifting the narrative over to give that man his money. He's got $140 million, and nobody talks about it anymore.
Well, I was going to say, I think that from Jordan Poole's circumstances, I being the cynic that I am, have grown up to be and old, you get a little more cynical.
I hadn't noticed.
Is that, I know you have, but that those contract negotiations speeded up miraculously, didn't they?
It seemed like they did.
And
they did have a deadline.
And I think probably what they were hoping to signing for, there was about $20 million added to what everything was reported when it's finally done. I was thinking, oh, that was a $20 million punch. Probably Jordan Poole's in. Yeah, that's worth it.
Yeah. I'm okay. Yeah, $20 million.
Most of us would take a sucker punch. From certain people, I wouldn't, because they'd kill me.
I'd have somebody take it. I'll let Stones take one for me.
Yeah, we'll split it.
Yeah, we'll split it.
Yeah. And the Warriors, above all, they want to win, and they know that Draymond still very important to their efforts to win. So. Yeah,
it doesn't always come down to that. Doesn't it always boil down to how much do you want to win and how much can this guy help you?
Sure. Well, but some of that's culture. if everybody, look, we want to win, right? So let's sort it out with that in mind. I think potentially this is again a victory for that. It's an overused term, but that warrior culture.
I just
if they
think
pull
it's-
this off.
Well, and there you go too. That's like we were talking before. People, we got to change the culture. We're going to want a winning culture. Well, the Warriors got a winning culture, even if somebody slugs somebody.
Yeah,
Because they're winning.
Because they're winning, and so
Yeah.
if that was a team, that had not
Right.
won 15 games a year before, you might, and the media would look at that very different, But and the Warriors deserve a pass in my mind because of that. I mean, they've, really have tremendous organization. They've done 99% of the stuff extremely well. I don't think they handled this exactly right, but then how do you know what to do? And as you pointed out, they want to win championships. They're financially paying so much money.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And certainly they don't, Draymond is an asset. Maybe not the level he thinks he is, but he is an asset. And so there's no reason to degrade that asset if, in fact, maybe you're not counting on him down the road.
Right.
But you are counting on him this year.
Yeah, this 1 year, one last year. Yeah.
One last year.
Yeah.
And then,
I read somewhere about culture. Mike Brown came in with the Kings and changed the culture. It's like, well, it's awfully soon for
Not
that.
if he doesn't
It's
recognize
not-
the team that's on the floor in the first game.
It's not that easy. And we know the Kings was 16 years now that they haven't been in the playoffs. And how many years we're redoing the culture. We've established a culture. And you just can't do it by saying it.
No, well, we've had a bunch of culture changers, and
They just haven't been.
It's like,
Yeah.
but they're all
positive.
bad yogurt
Yeah,
cultures.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
what it is.
and the culture will change, and Mike Brown may be the guy to do it. But right now he's 0-1.
He is.
And so the culture will get changed when you win more than you lose.
How hard is it to lose as a coach? I'm serious.
Sadly,
even when you know that, well, we're probably going to lose, but it's still got to be.
Even then, though.
Oh.
Even then.
Oh yeah, even when you know you're likely, that you're. I always said there's never a game I didn't think we were going to win because I was pretty delusional. You have to be in order to be a little mentally unstable in order to do the job anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a point where it's like, oh God, then you're driving home and you lost, and we got another game tomorrow, the next day, and that team's better than the one that just kicked their ass.
And we're not that good.
And it's like, oh, and so-and-so's hurt, and it's like, I got to talk to the media tomorrow. What am I going to
You got to go write down some
I gotta,
notes.
It's hard not to internalize it, right, and feel like,
Oh.
well, there must be something I can do when sometimes there isn't.
Well, that's what I always remember. My wife, bless her heart, she had more faith in me than I did. I think she'd always say, I remember one time things were going bad, and I said, boy, I don't think, I just don't see how this is going to get any better. Oh, honey, you'll always find a way to turn it. You always did in college. You'd always turn it around. You can make this team win. I said, no, I don't think I can. No, and I mean, really, it's one of those things that really hurt me to, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah, she's trying her best, and you got to
bless her
slam
heart.
the door
yeah,
on her,
yeah,
too. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, I could, it's one of those, normally I would probably go along with it, but it just got to the point where it's like, no, I'm beat up.
Well, how about that?
Just drag me off the corner and let
When
me
he was
lay.
struggling,
Yeah.
Mrs. Reynolds is in his corner.
Yes, she
And
is.
yet when Mrs. Reynolds is struggling with the turkeys,
No.
does he give her any kind of support? Or,
no.
Yeah.
He's considering that. Well, go.
I should be a little more positive about the turkeys, although I was pretty positive. I said, well, honey, they seem to enjoy your streamers because they're actually just sitting underneath them
Yeah.
and,
Okay.
and visiting.
I'm
Yeah.
positive it's not working. Yeah,
It's kind of like
absolutely.
having a little confab right there.
But what about the flip side? What about when you pulled out the W? Was it anywhere near positive as the negatives were negative, or did you just go, oh, it's a good stepping stone?
Oh,
we're gonna
no,
lose again
any
tomorrow?
win was joy.
Oh, that's great. That's great to hear.
and two, then your delusions could magnify and multiply. You could say, oh, okay, we can.
We've solved it.
We'll
Figure
can't
it
wait
out.
to get to
Yeah.
the next
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
You know,
Size me up from a ring because
Yeah.
I'm winning the final.
I mean, really, it's obviously you look back and how could you bid?
No, but I'm glad to hear that. At
But
least
it's
you had
true.
the joy. I mean,
Oh,
it
no,
wasn't like,
there was
oh,
true-
we'll probably lose tomorrow anyway.
no,
you know?
it was absolute joy.
That's
It's
great.
just
That's
like
awesome.
you're just on a high that it's just a wonderful thing, and then it's so.
I remember
couldn't wait for practice, And
I remember
everything.
reading. This was a guy I think he coached at Arizona, and then he went on to coach the Raptors briefly, not for long. And I can't think of his name. I'll think of it later. But I remember reading. He wrote one time that the best moments as a head coach. He said it's so hard, but he said the last 3 minutes of a game where you're way ahead. He said that's like heaven. The rest of it is just hell.
Yeah,
But
when
you're
when you're like 3 minutes ago and you're up 18 and everything, the other team is kind of packed in.
they're not.
Oh, you feel like with a Red Auerbach moment, light up a cigar, that sort of
There's
thing.
no stress, just going to enjoy this for 3 minutes.
And of course, the converse of that is the being 18 down.
Yeah, but
getting drubbed.
why you got to turn it away?
Yeah,
we were doing so well.
Getting drubbed at home, and it's like, holy cow! You're seeing the fans getting up and leaving, and you want to,
but you're thinking of what you're going to say in that post-game presser.
And in the locker room.
Oh yeah. Well, guys, didn't go so well today, but
you gave it what you got, what you had, but you didn't have much. So,
blame it all on coaching. That's my fault.
We didn't have any lasers out
no
there.
No lasers. Jeez, I tell you, I didn't put this team together. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Christ, I just they hired me to stand out front there.
I'm just a monitor. I don't know what's going on over here.
We unfortunately we have to wrap it up because we got to get some kind of bonus coverage available or something because we
figure out what a paywall is that we can put behind the paywall. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
So
You're the only one getting paid, or you still have your dollar?
I got my dollar. I invested it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're still doing the alphabet.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
The old-fashioned three. We look at basketball, now and then. So we're going back alphabetically, and these players. Again, it's not just the best players. I know somebody was on Stone's page was saying you guys didn't pick the right players. You didn't pick the best players.
Probably right.
It's not necessarily the best players. It's a player that maybe it's the best player, maybe the worst player, maybe a player you remember for some reason or you have some story. So we're all the way to the letter F now. So
and it's last names.
Last names.
Yes.
Although I think, we've taken some liberties.
Well,
but
I
that's
did
it.
once, but we weren't supposed to.
Yeah.
But then, I'm kind of the star here, so I can do that.
That is absolutely true.
Finally, we got that out in the open. Clear the air with that one. Okay.
Jerry's the player that he was
kind of
talking
the star
about.
right here. Yeah.
He's the guy that we were talking about earlier.
I got no lasers with me.
If you don't like the show, he's done what he can. He's doing what he can.
So you want to tip us off?
I would go with the guy that was. I talk about it all the time. Talking with my kids, telling them about what scores were like before the age of the 3-pointer, when you had to work for shots and hit jump shots and stuff. Hit the 18-footer, that was important. And we've talked about it before. Guys like Dale Ellis or guys like Rolando Blackman. The guy, my F guy, is also from Dallas for the most part of his career, and it's Michael Finley. Michael Finley was a tremendous scorer. He was listed at 6'7". He never seemed like he was that tall. Had a good jump shot. Worked hard on it.
Underrated.
A really good player. Yeah, underrated player. Borderline all-star, but one of those guys that when he came into your gym, you go, well, that guy's going to get buckets against me. We got to really protect against that guy. And I just thought he had that position. I think he had 6 straight seasons over 20 points or in that area for Dallas, and he played for Phoenix, I think, at the beginning. And had some other teams as well. But Dallas was where he really was, and he was just a top-flight performer for a really good Dallas team for a long time. And it was just a pleasure watching him play because all he did is go out there and get buckets. And so Michael Finley's my guy.
Good one.
Yeah, I would go with. I think this was my first ever favorite basketball player, Walt Frazier.
Oh boy,
yeah,
that's
Clyde.
That's a good favorite.
Yeah, and I don't remember this, but I've read about it. How Willis Reed gets all the credit, and it was marvelous. 1970 comes out for Game 7, and he's got the knee injury, and he comes out, makes 2 shots in a row, and the Knicks win because because Willis Reed, it was a miracle. Well, Walt Frazier was 38 and 15 in that game.
He had 19 assists or something. He dropped on him 36
and
points.
A great defensive player. I remember reading a story when I was in 6th grade or whatever, where he says something about catching flies with his hand, and someone says, "I catch flies with my hand, you don't." And Walt Frazier says, "That's because the flies have heard of me." And they
what is he, Chuck Norris now? Come on.
That was pretty cool. They stay away because they know who I am.
Flies don't come on my part of the court.
Yeah.
Good point.
Clyde Frazier played
fantastic.
with the Knicks team that won a championship, and then he was paired with the great Earl Monroe. And I remember way back when people saying, "Oh, those two guys can't play together," and they did, which I always remember when we talk about two, scoring guards, can they play together? Well, those guys did, and they won a championship. Finished his career with the Cavs, if I'm not mistaken, but as still a great announcer. Walt Frazier would be Clyde. He'd be my F player.
Oh, that's a great one.
Pretty
I
good.
mean,
Oh, and he
Pretty
also
good.
remember this story. I'm sorry, Jerry, but he told us a story once on the radio about when he had a girlfriend at a game,
Yes.
and then he had another girlfriend who showed up to the same game.
Yes.
And he said it was a very touchy situation.
It was a very Clyde-like
yeah,
situation.
yeah. And he's aware while he's playing the game, and he's trying to make sure that these two women are not aware of each other. Yeah.
Talk about a triple-double, huh, Jerry?
yeah, that shows the greatness, I guess. I don't know.
That's greatness. It is
You know,
greatness.
what are you gonna do? But just one other story on Clyde I got to. I always remember when he went to Cleveland, and Footsie Walker was a player that I knew well.
That's
and
right.
Stayed in touch with, and he was
You
on.
coached him, didn't
I
you?
coached him
Yeah.
in junior college and four-year school at West Georgia. But anyway, I had asked him, "Hey man, you guys got Walt Frazier? Wow, all-time great and all that." This was, I think, about the middle of the year they got him. He said, "No." He said, "We don't have Walt Frazier. Walt Frazier's still in New York. Walt, all of Walt didn't come."
Oh, yeah.
We got Wally. Yeah.
yeah, which as a
Well, yeah, he's been-
which is He said, yeah, Walt, he just eats nuts and berries, and basically he's still a Nick.
And who could blame him?
And who could blame him?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I mean that
Going to
that's who he is,
Cleveland,
and he's a terrific. I love his announcing. He's different, and by the way, a really nice person. I've gotten a chance to sit down with him over the years and talk about a lot of things from college. Just really a nice
Yeah.
man for total all-time great.
I remember Jared playing, youth basketball and seeing Walt Frazier and those guys all the time and hand checking. And I remember the official going, "You can't do that." I was like, "What are you talking about? Walt Frazier does this all the
does
time."
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it all the time.
Yeah.
Rolls his eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, my guy is a little different from Frazier.
That's why you're
or-
kind of
or
the star.
Michael
Yeah.
Finley, kinda.
Yeah, you're kind of. Well, you
We
said
should get
it.
him a throne, huh?
Yeah.
Jerry should be
Like a Bill Walton throne.
Like on the Game of Thrones with all the swords sticking
Yeah, with
out
all
and
the
stuff,
swords. No, you guys stick one in my neck or something,
yeah.
probably.
You were going to say something else.
But anyway, yeah, Lawrence Funderburk.
Ah.
I'm sorry?
Lawrence Funderburk.
King?
A
Former
king, a
Yes,
former king,
yes.
basically, and was I won't say a huge part, but a part of those best Kings team. A little bit of a strange guy, but a really good guy.
Wasn't he really smart? Economics major or some
Yeah,
sort of,
something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I mean, I always two stories I can tell you with Funderburk. What he would do, there was a little unusual.
Well, you said kind of a strange guy. You got me on kind of a strange guy.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, he'd order room service, and he didn't want to pay the tip, so he'd go down to the kitchen and get it.
But
I mean, I'm serious. I mean, that was kind of thing. That's Funderburk going down to get his food.
Economics major.
Yeah.
Say
but
no.
it's room service.
It's room service, but
They take it to your room.
well,
Does he not understand the concept?
yeah, but he did understand.
So he
the
was doing
concept.
self-service.
Well,
Yeah.
if he understood that if they brought it to your room, they would expect extra money.
That's right.
And if you picked it up, then they couldn't get a tip or demand a tip or expect a tip. Which
Wow.
So anyway, he did that.
Yeah.
So that's the first time I'd ever heard of that. And I mean, I actually thought about it, but
These days, you get social media, get a hold of that, and they crucify you for it. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, but I didn't. And then the second thing is, he was kind of a beloved figure in many ways, but I know among the equipment people and trainers, he would not be loved because on long road trips or any road trip, he took a box fan. In addition, they had to pack a box fan because he said he couldn't sleep without that box fan. So you go on
Pretty big.
pretty good
Sizable box fan.
yeah. And so as opposed to just schlepping your luggage and all your equipment,
You
and
gotta
all
carry
that,
the box
you
fan.
got they got to schlep a box fan up to his room. So that part was again a little bit on the unique side. So Lawrence Funderburk, obviously solid, career, as a backup guy, and probably whatever monies he made, he
still has it. Yeah.
He's got about 90% of it. I
Yeah,
know, still.
yeah.
A unique figure. I like that.
Is it
Unique-
possible
yeah.
he would have played more on a lesser team?
It'd have been quite a bit lesser. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in the right spot.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for being
The only team that would send his box fan with him. Yeah.
in the right spot with us. We'll see you next time on the Old Fashioned 3.
Thank you for joining the Old Fashioned 3 on Stones Radio Networks. To stay updated on the show, like and subscribe on YouTube, and all shows are available for download on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, and of course at stonesradionetworks.com. Follow the show and the gents on Twitter at OL, Fashioned, and the number 3, at Phantom Radio 60, and at Whitey Gleason. This has been a production of Stones Radio Networks.